Hello and good afternoon, good evening, and in some places, good morning. Welcome to Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And folks, we have an absolutely fire show with some even hotter topics, if you can believe it. If you're an Xbox fan and you've been sitting on the sidelines watching, seeing what's going on, we're less than a month away from the June 12th show that's supposed to be the biggest thing since sliced bread, and you wanted to know our opinions on the announced delay and whether or not there's going to be a plan B. And is Microsoft still hiding any surprises? Well, you're going to get all that information and more tonight. Let's get into the introductions first. And we're going to start with One Bad Mother on loan from Xbox Era, a good place to check out each and every week with John, Nick, and that crew. One Bad Mother, how are you, man? Welcome back.
I am super boom. Thanks for asking. Always great to see you guys. It's been a little bit, been really busy lately, and got back from helping my sister get married in Cali.
Nice.
I got ordained and did a wedding. So
no way! You actually were. I was just about to crack a joke and say like, what were you there, like the minister? And then you're just like, oh, I got ordained, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy just killed my joke. That's amazing.
By the power invested in me by the internet, I was able to carry that through. So that went well, and yeah, it's been a lot going on the last few weeks, but it's really awesome to be back here and talking some gaming stuff. So I actually think we got some really interesting things to cover as we started to get into in the pre-show. So I'm looking forward to it today.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you back, brother. We missed you. And yeah, we do have a lot of we have two monster topics to get into. And I think everyone is really going to sit back and enjoy it because, let me just start off with understand that these two topics, they are very hot. There's been a lot of emotion behind them. This panel, this group of gamers is going to handle it as if you would expect. It is going to be discussed in a proper manner. Everyone is going to have a chance to give their points. Everyone, this isn't Microsoft is dead. This isn't let's finger point and fire Phil. This isn't nothing stupid like that. This is literally we're going to discuss what we like, what happened, and what we don't like. And it is going to be a proper conversation. Again, no finger pointing, folks. That's not what we do on this channel. And that is certainly not what we do on a weekly basis on Primetime Gaming. And you can expect that that's how we're going to handle this business. But next up, my very good brother, who I talk to pretty much every day, Kay Asante, your backdrop is looking much better. Your house is seemingly back to normal. How you been, man? Welcome.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. Yes, my kids helped me put these things up, and sound dampeners and all that. We're getting back to normal somewhat. So yes, I'm here, and yeah, I did my best to stay off the internet over the weekend because people done lost their minds. But
Smart move.
We'll get into that.
Smart move.
Yes. So yeah, I appreciate all the folks in the chat. I see people already in here, filing in here. We're gonna have some really interesting conversation, and based on some of the stuff I've read in the DMs from OBM and Everborn, you have a lot to talk about. So I'm excited. Let's go.
Big shout out to Jordy in the chat, good member of Xbox Era. Jordy, how the heck are you, brother? Welcome. And I'll be doing my normal, hello to everyone. Just give me a moment to do the introductions, and we're going to get into the topics. Next up, Everborn Saga. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm good. I got my tinfoil hat ready because
I love it. Some of your
very
theories.
Interesting conspiracy theory to share with you folks tonight.
Here we go.
And folks, listen, it's not off the wall. There is some substance to what he's saying, but you might have to put on the tinfoil hat because other parts.
We're going down a dark alley in speculation town. Let's call it that.
Next up, and last and not no way least, my good brother, all the way from the north of Canada, the Mag. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Oh, man, I'm in a great mood tonight. I'm looking forward to the show. Yes, I've been very, very quiet on Twitter and wherever else about this whole situation that's been going on. I mean, the only thing I did talk about is the fact that, I said, you know what I did this weekend? I gamed and I had fun with family and friends.
And that's what matters.
That's what all that mattered at the end of the day. If they delay them till 2024, don't really care. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But anyways,
did you touch grass?
Hey,
did you touch grass, Mag?
A lot of grass.
There you go. Well, hold on. What kind of grass?
What grass he touched?
Well, speaking of grass, so you know what? I want to get into something very quick here. Like, Boom, I wanted to ask you, what have you been playing this week? Let me ask you what's going on.
Well, look, it's been a bit of a slow time. I've been knee deep in Halo, but my backlog, Mag, it continues to grow. So I jumped back in and I'm trying to wrap up AC Valhalla.
AC Valhalla, folks, let me tell you something. Being a Viking is awesome.
Yeah, but you know what's not awesome? Down my pants. It's starting to look like a Viking's beard. Very similar to Wandering Dutch.
What? Well, let me tell you something, Boom, and folks in the chat and everybody on this panel. You need ManScaped. You want to be ferocious like a Viking, but not having a Wandering Dutch-sized beard in your pants? Let me tell you something, folks. You want the wood in your longhouse to be smooth, so the women and men in your life will be moaning skull all night long into the morning. And let me tell you something else. With that Lawnmower 4.0, your sharpened axe can safely cut through your Viking forest, no problem. Boom, tell us about some of your products that you've been checking out this week from ManScaped.
Well, listen, besides the incredible razors, besides the nose and hair trimmer that you can get from manscaped.com, I'm currently wearing the boxers. Now, we've heard Jez Corden talk about this. And you know something? It really does hold the package in firm. And my goodness, I highly recommend you check it out. All you have to do is go over to manscaped.com, type in the code DBG20. And guess what, folks? You're going to save 20% and also get free shipping.
Fantastic.
That's it, folks.
ManScaped, guys, check it out. They've got amazing stuff. And in fact, I'm not even kidding. I'm not just saying this because I'm on the panel and I'm here right now. This week, I am going to be ordering a package myself because I actually want to check out the stuff. I've talked to Rand about it. He says that the boxers are amazing. And some of the products, too, like I want to check them out. The Ball Tonic, which is like the funniest name ever. But anyways, I got to check this stuff out. So I'm gonna buy myself a package this week. No pun intended.
Can I say something real quick?
By all means.
Mag.
Yeah.
Apart from the porn stash, can I hire you to do Everborn ads?
You can hire me to do whatever the hell you want.
Pause.
Oh,
Serious pause.
But I'm not even joking. That was amazing. Kudos to everyone
Absolutely
involved.
Amazing.
Oh,
Yes, that's right. He's also,
Hilarious.
listen,
we
again,
got more coming this week.
Yes, he's currently writing the scripts. Mag has written all the scripts. You see that I'm doing the ticker tape on the bottom. Folks, listen, Manscaped was amazing enough to sponsor the channel for the entire month. And that's something that doesn't happen very often with a channel my size. My channel is still relatively small, so I really wanted to say a big thank you to manscaped.com for taking a chance on Double Barrel Gaming, and hopefully you will have your package shaved correctly. So it's with all of the packages already out of the way, let's get into.
Hey, just Boom. One thing though.
Yes, sir.
Chat. I want to say there's a lot of people in here. Check out Manscaped because the analytics will help. And if you tell them, that you came from this show, maybe we can get some sponsorship for another month for the channel. So check it out if you can. If anything, just to support the show.
Well, if anything, I would actually argue selfishly. I just want to keep hearing Mag write new commercials. So
That's
every week,
you want that to get. If you guys want those commercials every week, then you need to go check that out.
I do about 4 a week, but I narrow it down to like 1 or 2.
Yeah, literally, I laugh my head off when I'm reading these things. It's just,
my brain is like a 3-ring circus constantly. I can't even sleep. Even when I'm lying in bed, I'm sitting there going, like I'm giggling to myself, and then my wife's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Oh, I just came up with this idea." So,
Yeah,
and that's where a lot of my videos come from too, right? Just like constant.
That's and listen, your videos are legendary. But listen, folks, all joking aside, let's get into why everyone is here. We're here to talk about Xbox. Obviously, last week, Thursday, it was announced that not one, but 2 games, 2 of Microsoft's biggest original new first-party IPs were being delayed until the first half of 2023. Now, this is old news. Like, you've heard me talk about this multiple times. What you haven't heard me talk about is whether or not Phil Spencer and Team Xbox have a plan B. A lot of people in the chat early that were here seem to think no. Some people say, look what happened with Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite was delayed out of 2020 into 2021. We had nothing. So people have lost a little bit of faith. I want to go first to Asante because him and I, well, we talk pretty much every day. And this is a topic that we came up together with talking on the phone. And, you know, he has a great opinion on why he thinks there is a plan B. And I'm going to pass the mic over to him. Asante, please give everyone your breakdown opinion on why you honestly believe there is, in fact, a plan B, a secret plan B.
Sure. Well, okay, I wouldn't call it a secret plan B, but all of it is presumably secret, obviously, right? You don't want to be able to share anything like that. I mean, okay, so the reason why I feel the way I do and the reason why I think the way I do is because of the way it was announced, right? Under normal circumstances, we've seen announcements like this happen before, right? Games get delayed. They're difficult decisions, but they have to be made because you don't want that Cyberpunk situation where then, you know, no matter how much they do better than that, it always is presumed as in the first time you saw it, it was terrible, right? Oh, and we need to change it up. There we go. Good. So needless to say, no worries, brother. Needless to say, you know, the way they announce these things usually matters more than the actual message because it failed, you know, they can't make it, it's not on time, you know, these things happen, right? It's a thing that is no platform has ever bypassed that. You've never been able to find a platform that has their AAA game that always comes out right on time and it's never a single problem. Nintendo's gone through it, PlayStation's gone through it, Sega did in the past. Everyone delays games when they need to delay games, but it's how they message their delay that usually tells you something that gives you a lot of tells you what they're trying to do or where their head is at, so to speak. And because we didn't see this get doled out the way you would think it would, because it's kind of an easy layup if you think about it, right? They already have a show planned, right? We already know that that's happening, right? They could have easily just kept quiet, waited to the show, showed you all this curated, you know, amazing content to then blow you away and then hit you with that bad news at the end, right? Which has been done before. PlayStation has done that. Nintendo has done.
That's a double-edged sword, though. But
no, I know that is. It is definitely a double-edged sword. I mean, and usually they catch wind of that later, right? But the idea, and to my understanding, the idea of why you'd want to do that is more often than not, even though you have that negative news in there, every time you associate that news, you remember the content that came before it. So it adds context to what's going on, right? There's more of an idea of, hey, you know, I've seen the content, I've seen Starfield, it looks amazing. Oh, it's this bold idea. I understand why they may need more time. That's the idea behind something like that. I don't know that it works, but that's why more often than not you'll see them. Hey, it used to be 2022, but we'll wait and slip that in at the end that it's 2023 now. That's why that tool tends to be used. And the fact that they didn't even bother using that here tells me. Oh, go ahead, Vaughn.
Yeah. So just to this point, like the flip side of it, I think it's a not a coin toss, but I think they do like a sort of risk analysis in terms of marketing.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they say, do we get everyone hype and then kill the mood? So now we're leaving everyone on a downturn versus do we tell them now, let them get the crying out of their system? And oh boy, there's crying.
Which is also a very strategic move. Yeah.
They will have gone through their 5 stages of depression,
of grief. And now they're ready to see what the future.
Right. And everybody should check out that video from Gladiator with the 5 stages.
Oh, with the 5 stages. Yeah, that brother, he did a great job. I hear what you're saying.
That being said, so let them get it all out them systems so they get to the acceptance stage of grief. And now you can leave after the show and everybody's on a high note and try to, manage and ride that high note to the end. So there's two
I
ways to go
understand
about it. And yeah, so I just wanted to add that to your point. But
no, you're absolutely right. Absolutely, 100%. I do not disagree with your point at all on that. I feel like if the way they chose to do it now leaves a lot of heavy lifting to be done, because now you've basically primed your consumer base to expect nothing. Like not only nothing, but you've kind of cratered their expectations. You've kind of dug a hole for yourself that they must not only equalize but then exceed expectations in order for it to be successful, right?
Can I just add something to what you're saying to give more weight to the conversation? We as Xbox fans were treated to what many called the best Xbox show in the franchise history. Understand what the ramifications of what I'm saying. Last year, it was as good as any show before, and that's a 20-year thing, folks, right? That's 20 years. Mm-hmm. And last year, on its 20th anniversary, they put on the best show. So just on that alone, this show, that's the show that's coming on June 12th, the weight behind it was already immense, right? Because everyone's expecting it's an 11 or bust, right? That's what everyone's expecting, because they have 30 teams and they have all these studios and they're about to potentially close ABK. There's a lot to be excited about with Xbox. Regardless of the delay, there is a lot to get excited about.
Yep.
But with that said, being 100% respectful, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, because now they're trying to ice skate uphill. They have they have the momentum. All of the momentum that they were rolling into this show, to me, has been removed.
And anyone that feels that way cannot be faulted, because they basically spent a lot of time marketing these marquee titles to you, only to at the last minute tell you that unfortunately, due to unforeseen complications, they're being delayed. Now, why I think that there is a plan B is the way it was announced did not leave any room for, hey, we got you. It didn't leave any room for, don't worry, even though these things have been that we've been promising you for so long have been delayed. We promise you that there's more to come, and pay attention. No one said anything. It was very, very, very vague and very, very kind of, and it's not even just one, but both new IPs being delayed at the same time. That was very suspect. It seems very suspect. Yeah. And then follow that up.
Suspect for a different reason, but
we'll get to why you think it's suspect. And then follow that up with a tweet from Phil Spencer, who usually, if nothing else, can win the Ernest award anytime he wants. Right? He can speak on it whenever he needs to, and he can always somehow connect with his audience. Turn legal and corporate speak into something that people can understand, and that people can kind of go, okay, I see what he's trying to say there. In this turn, unfortunately, it was very much not like that. It was almost seemed like an intern that had written it for him. Very non-committal, very, we know we did bad, we will do better in future kind of verbiage. And that was it, basically, right? So the reason why I think that going into this, that the reason why I think that they have to have a plan B is because they primed the pump, right? They've set it all up. Now, they know everybody's upset. Everybody's out there, doing what they did. And of course, we won't even get into that. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've been a part of that, or you saw what happened within the community, which we all thought was horrible and negative, right? Microsoft watches the shows, right? They watch the podcasts. They're a part of the community. So there's no doubt in my mind that they themselves have been able to see what's happening here, right? So that's the reason why anytime anybody has asked me what my opinion is on this situation, how I feel, do they deserve to be criticized and all that, I keep saying wait till June, because these mistakes happen. Like and I wouldn't even call it a mistake.
Wait for E3.
Stop it. I wouldn't even call no, seriously. I wouldn't even call it a mistake because you're moving forward, right? All things seem like they're working, and then out of nowhere, unforeseen complication, you have to delay the game. Maybe you're not hitting the deadlines you wanted to hit. Whatever the reason may be, experts before us many a time have delayed a game or two because they had to, right? That's not the point here. The point is, once that happens, then deflection mode is the next order of business, right? To take your consumer and say, hey, we showed you this for this long, it was terrible. Oh yeah. Let's show you this. You see this? This is the whiz bang. This is what we'll show you. This is what will get you to not think of the fact that we just delayed the game that you were excited about before, right? That's their job at this point. That's messaging. That is Phil Spencer. That is Sarah Bond. What are they going to replace this in the minds of the consumer with? And I'm convinced that is a plan. There's a plan in place to do so, because if they don't have a plan in place to do so, then there's either the crazy conspiracy theory that Mr. Everborn Saga that they will present to you. That may be more that will lend credence to that, which I still doubt that, or they're basically not doing their job, which I personally will not. I will not go there until you
won't sanction that personal opinion. Yeah,
because everything they've done until now always pushes in the direction of, hey, we're fighting the good fight. We're trying to get people to see us as a real competitor. Where the flywheel is going to start turning. All of that has been all that they talk about. So this snag is just a snag, as all folks tend to have them. Right? What they do after the snag, that's what matters.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep saying wait till June. Because after June, if they're flat-footed, then oh yeah, all that smoke, I can just be like,
then I'm right. But anyway,
I don't know about that.
I look forward to this, by the way.
I want to see Everborn put on the tinfoil hat.
No, I want to. I look forward to what he's got to say now in counter.
Look, all jokes aside, he does have. I mean, we had the conversation. He had the conversation with Kay Asante separately, and I was like, "Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't actually agree, but there is some substance to it." But before we bring in his opinion, one bad mother. Kay Asante, are you done with your?
Oh no, yes, I'm done. Sure. I honestly feel that the reason why I feel wholeheartedly that we will see something is because we have to see something, and if we don't, then they're not doing their jobs, and I everything up until now has shown us that they are there, at least trying. So I want to see them continue to try.
One thing that I just don't understand about all the vitriol and the fallout. I was telling King David they should rename Starfield to Fallout after this. Everything that's going on here. But the show's coming in June. All of this, we have nothing to play and we don't have this and that. Why didn't they say we have this coming to that? The show's in June. They told you when they're going to tell you.
This is why I want to change my name to K. Wait till June Asante. I'm saying, like, somehow that does not 1 + 1 is not equaling 2 for people. Wait till June. It is what it is.
You can't also leave it up to the consumer to figure it out on their own, because a lot of times you have to spoon feed people.
It's not even that. Look. The thing is this: leaving it up to our imaginations is not the best business practices. No. And again, I'm not. Listen, folks, understand. I'm a retired New York City police officer. I don't have a marketing degree. I didn't do that in real life. What I'm doing right now is a passion for gaming. It's a passion for community, which I had as a police officer. And I'm now transferring what I learned and what I did in that 21-year stint to now bring it forward and work with what I believe is one of the best communities in the world, right? And I can't definitively say that it's good marketing or bad marketing, because I don't get paid the big dollars. I'm not working for Microsoft. If they called, I would consider. But I'm not working for them. I'm talking to you as a fan, same as you, playing games. I've been playing heck out of Halo. I just hit level 80 on my battle pass. The game is just amazing. I can't stop playing it. With that said, I want to bring in one bad mother, because leaving anything up to the consumer's imagination usually spells disaster, and we saw that transpire over the weekend in many circles. People have lost confidence. This was supposed to be the big year, a smaller year, but we also have to remember that we're coming off of a couple of years that there really wasn't a lot. And then last year, my God, it was such an amazing year. Publisher of the year in Meta, the highest reviewed publisher, great games on every genre. If you wanted a first-person shooter, you had Halo. If you wanted a driving sim, you had Forza. If you wanted a flight sim, well, you had Flight Sim. If you wanted a platformer, you had that too. And on top of that, you had an amazing RTS, on PC. There was a ton to get excited about. And this year was supposed to be Bethesda's year to shine, right? It was supposed to be the year that God Howard got out with his leather bomber jacket and he talked about, this is my dream. This is the dream I had for the last decade. Here you go, Starfield.
Has he lost his God status at this point?
No. He still got Howard. I absolutely believe that. But I again, this isn't a finger pointing conversation. This is what happens next. What is the plan B? Because the plan B can't be what's coming out in 2023, folks. That cannot be plan B. Plan B has to be like, hey, folks, listen, we understand we don't have our first party games, but we, Sarah and Phil and Aaron and the rest of the crew, we made some banger deals to get games into Xbox Game Pass, like Gotham Knights and a few others. You could turn around Saints Row, another good one I would love to see in Xbox Game Pass. Remember, Game Pass in itself is the exclusive. Even if it's releasing on multiple platforms, you don't have to pay for it because it's part of your subscription. So, One Bad Mother, you have a lot to say on this. I'm interested to get your opinion. As we close in on 350 people already here, only 27 minutes in, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the program, consider subscribing. But OBM, take it away.
Well, yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot to cover, and I think I'll probably have a lot to say in the next one as well. But mostly, I'm the thing that's in my mind right now. I want to know what this conspiracy that Everborn's concocted. Part of me wanted to force him to go first, but when we talk about
antagonistic, I'll tell you that much. To Asante specifically.
All in good time. All in good time.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh man, but yeah, we talk about Plan B. I guess the first thing to clarify is it? Are we talking about just for the gamers, the Xbox gamers?
Well, what we're talking about is what? Listen, they have to respond. OBM, right? They can't just rip this Band-Aid off. And again, I've said this publicly. I think what really vexed me wasn't the delay. I get it, man. You got to get these games right, and nobody wants an amazing experience for Redfall and Starfield than I do. But I felt that it was so ho-hum. Update on Redfall and Starfield thumbnail. It bothered me, man, because like I said, I for my own channel, which only is 10K, I wouldn't do that. Let alone do that for $1 billion or a $1 trillion company. So, again, I've already said my piece on it. So this is really what is the plan B for these two monster delays?
Well, real quick, it seems like OBM has a point to define what plan B means.
Well,
are we talking games to be shown but nothing released in 2022, or
I suppose that's the eye of the beholder. I've already said it.
So
you telling me that these amazing games are coming in 2023, that's not the answer. That's not what I want to hear.
Right. So like the reason why I asked that question, because a lot of times we talk about what's plan B, or are they screwing up or whatever. It's always in context of what is like the goal of it, right? And honestly, if I were to look at the biggest thing at risk right now, and I'm just going to say at risk because we don't know we still got a lot of information we need to uncover, right? As Kay Sante, I think rightfully mentioned. The biggest thing at risk right now is their Game Pass subscriptions. That is kind of like the driving thing for the Xbox right now, even more than consoles. I think when it comes to console sales and things like that, I doubt there's a whole lot of concern because those things are just continuing to be the demand is going to continue to outstrip supply probably for anytime in the near future. The things that are going to drive the Series S probably are going to be the casual things, a lot of the multi-plats, honestly, and so from that standpoint, I don't really think for Microsoft they're worried about it. Now from a consumer, and I think that's more what we're talking about is like as people that have been in gaming on the platform that have been sticking around all these years. I feel like a lot of times it is. Like me as a Detroit Lions fan, for anybody that watches professional football, it's always wait till next year's draft. Maybe we'll finally get that player we could, and that's what it's been like for the average gamer, right? That it's
Don't worry, OBM. I'm a Knicks fan, so
yeah, so the feeling. We've been pretty much in the similar boats for a while. So from that standpoint, first of all, I don't blame anybody. Like not everybody who's a gamer, and I can tell you, like even 4 or 5 years ago, I would
blame
have
somebody.
But
I'll tell you too.
Well, I would have probably been furious. I would have been like, what the hell is going on? Because this it really isn't up to the average person. I think Phil Spencer was right to come out and say, hey, we're just going to do better. Because, the average person isn't going to understand what's happening with development pipelines, when the investment started, things like that. So, the consumers, I think, have a right to demand better or more and things. But the thing I look at is, the Xbox platform has changed a lot in the last few years. And specifically when we start talking about things like, like Game Pass, right? And I think that does seem to shape the experience to a large extent. So we don't know what kind of deals they've already made. I will say that I doubt there's like a hey, let's hit this button if these things happen. I think the only way you can have a plan B in as a platform is to have so many things in the pipeline that if half the things don't happen or get pushed back, you got another half to back you up, and you have to plan for that way far in advance. They thought they had not just I'm guessing since 2020 they probably thought they had Starfield, Redfall, Stalker 2, maybe Forza Motorsport. We don't know what that is. I mean,
and obviously Deathloop is again supposedly going to release in September. Supposedly.
And bringing even more, information that like Jez shared recently, he said they had second party things that were already supposed to have been out. We don't know if that means their delays push them into late 2022 or if it's going to go further. The one thing though, I think Microsoft does understand if they don't have something that's just ready to go, it's going to be, one of these second party games, something else, already out there ready to go. I don't think there's going to be a desperation, move to push something out that maybe is not ready. I think they've learned that you're better off taking some short-term hits and putting something out when it's ready to be great.
For the greater good is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, we saw last year. Remember, like right about this time, we learned about no co-op in Halo. We learned no Forge at launch. And if you remember, the negativity towards Xbox at that time was not as bad as it is today, but it was pretty bad towards Halo, at least. I'd say like this negativity was similar towards that particular game. It wasn't really directed at the entire platform at the time. And then we saw, when it launched, despite, the lack of content since and some of the tone changing, when it launched, it came out to, a lot of positivity. People loved it. I'm still playing. I got almost 400 hours in it, but we saw how that tone changed really, really quickly. And I think for Microsoft, that is really going to be the thing, the long term. I think they're focused on the long term. I think they know it's like one of those things where I think about like, I don't know, like if I try to think of meme that like corresponds, it's almost like Braveheart, like, like hold that line, right? Like, you don't want to abandon your plan. you don't want to panic and abandon your plan.
Of course not. Yeah.
And I don't think there's a lot of third-party Hail Marys out
you
there.
are making excellent points. I just want to add that. I just want
can we like just get to him already? I want y'all to hear this.
I know.
Seriously. Because it's eating me now at this point,
There is a couple of hopes though. So I don't think Microsoft has like a Hail Mary, a desperation, push this eject button type of thing going on. I think if you look at it, the third parties in general this year are pretty light.
Yeah, they are. They are very light. Plus, there's the delay bug is not just affecting Microsoft.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm not even saying that as a whataboutism or anything. I'm saying that as if Microsoft wanted to get some big deals for Game Pass, there's very few things on the table for them. Like you mentioned it, Gotham Knights. What else did you mention? Like there's
Saints Row would be a great
Row.
One.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple, but that's just a couple. And if those companies say no, then that's it. It's not like you're going to there's like this overload of all these third party. And here's the other thing: these third party companies realize that they're going to come into the holidays, be one of the only games in town, and they're probably going to be like, you know what, we'll take our chances with the market because we're not up against 10 different high quality AAA games all coming out in November. So we don't need that Game Pass bag to, help us get that mind share and maybe, mitigate some of the risk. So I'm not expecting a miracle with that stuff if it wasn't planned way in advance. I think that for Microsoft, though, for the gamers, there is still hope. And the reason is because of some of the things I mentioned. They did have a lot of second party games in development. And I think those are the type of things they probably don't need to come out early with release dates on way ahead of time. Unlike, I think Starfield, because it's such a highlighter, they really want to emphasize that. I think that is something they wanted to really build up for more than the 6-month period, because for Xbox, I think it's going to be one of their most important IPs in over a decade. So second party, I mean, Halo's probably going to could have that big mode coming out by Certain Affinity that could change things. And then if the ABK deal gets done, even if there's a marketing, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this, but they didn't show the Call of Duty on that. Sony marketing.
It's a very interesting. Yeah, it's Idle Sloth, that dude is he is a sleuth. He posted something on Twitter, and I don't know exactly when that picture was taken, but apparently the Call of Duty was not part of the marketing slide that Sony presented their audience or shareholders that they had deals in. And that's very, very interesting. And of course, it brings up a lot of, could they get Call of Duty into Game Pass? Would that be a big deal? Some people are saying that it can't happen because they don't own them yet. Listen, I you know who I want to hear from, and I'm going to see if I can get him on the show for Breakfast with Boom. He's been so busy, his whole law, and get his professional opinion on what that exactly means, because they showed everything. They had marketing deals, Call of Duty not being one of them, which was interesting.
Right. And there could be a lot of reasons, right? Like, it could just be Activision says, hey, we don't want you talking about it until we reveal the game. But they've already kind of thrown out the logo and everything. So that doesn't make a ton of sense. Anything could be possible. I would just say that that's not off the table, especially a lot of times there is out clauses. Like even if they had a marketing deal, maybe that's part of a negotiation or a preliminary talk they've had, or maybe Sony just if themselves are not sure what they're going to do, so they're not going to put too much into it until they find out more. And we don't even know if the deal is going to close this year, right? So there's still a lot of question marks, but that is something, and even if you don't get the new one, you could probably drop the entire back catalog of campaigns in there, or just all those games. So there's still a lot of potential Microsoft has with all the money they've been throwing around the last 5 years. So I would say I think it's before before anybody jumps off of anything or sets anything else on fire, and at least give it a few weeks. I get the disappointment. Nothing is going to replace Starfield, but I think it could still be a solid year. There's still potential for that, and even if there's not, we don't even know what the delay is. Like when Bethesda delayed, I think it was Oblivion. It was originally going to come out on the 360's launch, and it came out like I think in May, right? So it still felt like it was sort of on the cusp of the launch window at that time.
Right.
And like 6 months is not, again, that's not the end of the world. I get you want it for the holidays, but there's some perspective there too. So I think we got to find out more information about how long these games are delayed, what else is in development, what else they had lined up for Game Pass. It's just, there's a lot of potential.
There are a lot of what ifs for sure.
Yeah.
And again, going back to what Kay Asante says, unfortunately, we have to wait the next 25 days. That's what we have to wait until the show, or somewhere around the 25, 26 days. And then everything will be revealed. And again, we're just having a group of guys who have not had a chance to sit down as a panel and talk about this particular announcement. And that's what we're going to do right now. But before I get to it, I got to thank Percolator 9000 for the very first super chat of the day of $5. Good evening, Boom and panel. I've made it to a live show. Let's go. Well, it's great to have you here, brother. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for, of course, the generosity. Real quick, though. I'm starting to see a little cattiness with certain members that I guess maybe you're coming here to gloat. Maybe you're coming here to be an a-hole. Maybe you're coming here to troll. Anyone that's a modder, this is a one-strike policy. If someone's being a D-bag, just ban them. You have my full authority. We're trying to have an adult conversation here, unlike many shows that happened over the weekend. That's not what we're about here. We're going to try and talk, and we're gonna hash it out. Anyone that's coming here that's going to be a D-bag, you're going to get bounced and you're going to get banned. Come here, hang out, have a great conversation. That's what we're trying to do. If you want to be a part of that, you are welcomed. If you don't want to be a part of that, then you can just leave. And you can either walk yourself out or you can be escorted. However you want to do it is up to you. But before we bring in Mag, let's bring in Everborn Saga with, again, folks, get your tinfoil.
He clears his throat
because this is a wild theory. I mean, he might
oh
have
wow,
something. It's wild. He got.
Oh boy.
There we go.
See, this is the Everborn hat, right?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay. So,
Oh boy.
I come bearing temporary bad news. I see a lot of people saying like it's a foregone conclusion that, well, at least they'll have Deathloop. You don't know that, right? Nobody knows that. You can't prove it, right? People are saying, oh, well, there'll be Forza Motorsport. That's what they'll try to make up with. They haven't owned that baby yet. They showed it in 2020, and you never heard of them speak of it officially since. I don't know why we think that they're going to release it. And so I think this show is going to be milquetoast. And they might not even show Starfield and Redfall at the show because I didn't like how they were talking. They didn't say we can't wait to show.
Folks, this is madness, but please continue.
Oh, I think I know where he's going now.
I agree so far.
I think I alluded to what this theory was in a joke, but I want to see.
Now, you know where this is going. Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me
my
thread the needle.
goodness.
Let me
He's
thread
gonna
the needle.
do it. All right.
Now, they didn't say, "Oh, we can't wait to show it to you in the showcase." They said, "We can't wait to show it to you soon." They've been saying soon for the last 2 years, right?
Everborn, you remember when they announced Fable? More on that. Remember what Phil said? More on that soon. 4 years later.
Exactly, right? So again, I don't know why people even think they're going to see Starfield. And you know what knock-on effect that's going to have? They might lose some subscriptions. They might take a dip in some console sales. Fans are going to be dejected.
He is doing it.
And I would just like to quote Littlefinger in saying chaos is a ladder. Right? Now, what if this is all by design?
There we go.
Now,
This is
I want to
madness.
ask you a question. I want to ask everybody a question. Panel, chat, everybody. Why didn't Microsoft buy Tomb Raider and the Square Enix Western Division? Can
So
someone
they could
tell me?
buy Sega after they bought Activision.
Hold on,
Blizzard,
but
of
why?
course.
Why didn't they buy them? Why did they let it go for $300 million? Why did they let?
By
it
the
go
way,
so
this
much
is how
better?
he threaded me in. After I answered this question, there was no looking back. It was terrible. Don't answer the question. I'm just saying.
I know where I put
Somebody
this out
answer
there
the
as a
question.
joke.
I need it. I need it to keep
You
going.
know where
Why
it's going.
didn't they- why aren't they buying any other studios right now?
They gotta
Well, the
close
obvious
it.
answer would be because of the Activision deal, right? They're keeping
Interesting.
quiet.
So then that means they could be aggressive, but they're not. It wouldn't be illegal for them to buy another studio.
It's their perception, and yeah, it's
Their
the perception
perception.
while they're
Now-
under review. That's what I'm thinking.
Now, another publisher that they just bought was getting ready to release what could potentially be the biggest game of the year, and what could potentially shoot Game Pass subscriptions through the roof. And the only avenue the regulators can look at the ABK deal in any lens of undue market influence is them creating an unstoppable subscription service, right? Because they can't do it on monopoly, they can't do it on revenue. They can't. The only way they could do it is if you look at it through the lens of Game Pass,
I
right?
knew it.
So now, if this holiday is foregone with any major first-party releases and they lose subscriptions, how does Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders or Lena Khan turn around and say, "You get Activision, your service is gonna kill everybody else"? It's not killing everybody else now.
So you think they're
Right?
playing possum?
Hold on a minute. When did they say the games were delayed till? Matt, you tell
Early
me.
2023. Yeah.
They said first half 2023. You know what else is slated to close in the first half of 2023?
Yeah.
The ABK deal. That is correct.
Now, they're going to take a hit right now. Their fans are going to be mad at them. They're going to be crying in spaces. They're going to be all emotional, right? Because anger is an emotion. And if you're angry all the time, that makes you emotional. But that's a different thing. The thing is this. Winning cures everything. And so everybody who's saying Phil needs therapy and they're making the same mistakes again and all of this stuff, everyone will forget if in May or June of next year, the Activision deal closes, Overwatch and Diablo are in Game Pass with all the back catalog of COD and potentially the new COD, because who knows what's going on with the Sony marketing deal. And on top of that, after they do their roundtable with Activision, they say, hey, wait, one more thing. Here's the release date for Starfield. It was ready the whole time. And then you'll have this year when you have Activision Blizzard closing, Overwatch and Diablo going into Game Pass, along with COD, and then Avowed, and then Redfall, and then Motorsport. And they will look like evil geniuses. And everyone will forget all of the crying and consternation that they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, oh, they finally got their act together, not realizing it was all a part of the plan and they just needed to stay the course.
So basically rope-a-dope style.
Yes.
In a way.
Think about it.
Taking those hits,
waiting
for that opportunity. Yeah.
The date that they gave, first half of 2023, is super curious because we know that's when the Activision deal is going to close. Why do it now? Because guess what? The trajectory that they were on with the momentum that they had with no game so far. This is just off of Halo and Forza, right? They took back market share. They were selling more consoles in the first quarter of this year. That it was set to continue. We could have been in a position where by the end of the year, they were the number one console, next gen console. right? You top that off with having Starfield out and Game Pass subscriptions shooting to 40 million. Now you look like a major player. Now you look like, oh, the bully is here. That's not good if you're trying to close the Activision Blizzard deal. You have to think about these things.
I mean,
he's not wrong.
He's no, you know what? I mean,
somebody talked me out of it.
Nope.
Not going. Tried to sell this to me last night, and I was not having it. I said.
Let me ask a question.
I'm not saying it's scripture, but I mean it's an angle.
Well, so
and it works.
Wait, just one more thing. Let me just add one more thing. Blame Brad Smith, right? Microsoft's lawyer, who knows that they're looking at all of these things and they're looking at Microsoft's position in the market, and they say, listen, this is the biggest deal we've ever done in the history of the company, and also one of, if not the biggest tech buyout in history in this country. Everybody's looking at this. Amy, they're all on a yacht, right? But Phil is out there with Brad Smith, Amy Hood, Satya Nadella, and they're like, listen, mum's the word until this deal is done. Lay low. They'll forget about it later. They have no memory. Right?
It's true. What did I say earlier? Global amnesia.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So why none of this is going to matter? We'll go through this terrible first party holiday, and guess what? The way they'll save all of that is, hey, because there's a way you could still save this show, right? What if this show, they told you know who else said they were going to reveal more about something in June? Capcom about Street Fighter 6. What if you hear Street Fighter 6 is actually coming to the Xbox at this show? And what if you hear you're also finally getting Final Fantasy 7
Persona and
and
Game
what
Pass.
if you also hear that Sonic Frontiers is in Game Pass, because Sega has been doing a lot of no, I'm serious. They've been doing a lot.
Most
so
likely,
the three major Japanese publishers.
But again, the
right?
Game Pass angle is important, because even though, like I said, if you turn around and you sell the fans on Gotham Knights and Saints Row and Sonic Frontiers and a few others are in there, they will have at that point pulled a Sony, right? Sony depended on third-party deals and indies when, before their stellar 18, 19, and 20 years, before they were actually had their AAA bangers being cranked out. So they leveraged their third party, leveraged indies, and everyone was cheering for Sony. That could still happen for Xbox. I mean, Xbox. Listen, that we've had a pretty damn good year, especially with Game Pass. No doubt about that at all. But again, this is not a finger pointy conversation. This is the Plan B conversation. Then we're going to get into second half of this show, which is going to start momentarily, because we still got.
Let me say one last thing.
Yes.
So people are saying, what about Bethesda being in control and things like that? What if that photo op that they did over there at Bethesda 2 days before they announced this? If you look at that picture and you zoom in, you get the Zaputa tapes, right? You got to look at the different angles, right?
God Howard is not smiling with his
God,
not smiling.
God Howard is the only one not smiling. His name was on the line.
I knew he was going to go there.
This
he put it in the DM and he superimposed Todd's face, and Todd had a bit of a.
This is like Oliver Stone. This is like all.
He's using magnifying glasses.
By the
whole
hook
thing.
or by the crook, he was ready to release this thing.
This is all
right. That was his name on the line, and then Phil goes there and said, "Listen, man, I was just on the yacht. Brad Smith said we got to lay low. So guess what? You're gonna take another 6 months. But hey, you said we had latitude. We could do what we want. Listen, my man, I apologize to you.
Listen,
but this has to happen.
Is he kissing the ring? Is what you're saying? Still kissing God Howard's ring.
I'm just saying.
It's gonna happen.
Look at the picture.
Spoke to somebody. We gotta
all the pieces right in front of you, people, and they're all crying in spaces and YouTube channels and all of that. It's right there, and they're doing it for the greater good. Just think.
You know, Everborn, just so you know, I'm not buying that, but I do want to say I did joke about, you know, people were talking about, you know, Phil Spencer's too nice. This is why they needed to break those contracts, and you know, he should have money had something, and all this other. And, yeah, I don't think they're going to do any of that stuff. But I said, oh, you're right, you know, and especially if they come out and clown him by, you know, releasing God of War in the Starfield date slot.
Exactly.
And some people, you know, I'm like, yeah, you know, like I'm sure that I said this on Twitter, by the way. I was like, I'm sure Phil Spencer will go ahead and show the bruises that Jim Ryan gave him to the FTC. You know, it's like, it's like, look at the beating I'm taking here, you know, from
Listen,
but that's all a joke. It's all a joke.
This is how you trade your games level of petty if they release God of War in November.
Do that, but you know, it's like the thing I will say though is, to your point, and this is where I'll meet you halfway. They don't really need a plan B in 2022 when that stuff is ready. That I think people don't understand what kind of monsters are like around the corner right now. When those things are ready, it's gonna diminish. Like these like backup plans people are talking about are like they're JV, right? Compared to Starfield and compared to Call of Duty, anything that you talk about today, that we talk about today, as something that, you know, Microsoft can give its gamers, it's JV versus varsity. Like it's not on the same level, and I don't think they're really worried about the brand. I think they know that as soon as these things are done, it's kind of like all that history, that those years of, you know, just Halo, Gears, and Forza, droughts, all that will be well behind them. So yeah. I'll meet you there. I will say they won't have to rush, right? There's no desperation for Starfield. If they go in there and they're like, you know, 6 months, we could get this flying working, you know, a lot better. We can make this game, you know, not just really good, but special, like set a new bar.
Maybe it's like call up id to help with the shooting.
You know? Like, I mean, whatever it is, yeah, just yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Listen, everyone has had incredible points, and Everborn has really, you know, put it down where, you know, it makes a lot of sense. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know, but Mag,
yeah,
let's get your opinion on the Plan B.
Okay.
I want to add that no one I've talked about to this believes me.
Right.
I talked to Rand, I talked to King David, I talked to you, Boom, I talked to K Asante, I talked to Pixelbit G. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. That's how I know
crazy.
I'm right.
Not crazy.
I mean, again,
crazy like a fox.
It's a well thought out point for sure. But Mag,
yeah,
you've heard everyone's point so far. I'm interested to get yours. No one is suggesting on this panel that it's desperation Hail Mary mode for Xbox. If they do nothing, they're, you know, pack it in, Team Green, it's over. I'm selling my Xbox. No, but you would like to think that, you know, the way that they announced this last Thursday, as abrupt as it was, with as little luster as you can actually add, 3 words in a thumbnail, do they have a plan B?
Oh, absolutely. Now, before I even say any of that, sorry, the games are coming in the chat. I accidentally deleted one of your messages. My finger was on my phone. And I accidentally looked down and it says his comment was hidden by the Mag. I was not blocking you or banning you from the chat. I just accidentally hit it with my finger. So
that happens. I've done that before.
I just looked down. I'm like, oh crap! How do you reverse this? And I couldn't figure it out. Anyways, let's get to the situation ahead. And actually, before that, Asante, you said is God Howard still a god? Odin lost an eye, and he's still a god. Okay, I mean, if this guy delays a game, he doesn't lose his title right away. That's it. You can go back. Turn the camera off now. There you go. Anyways, Plan B. Here's the thing. In my personal opinion, by the way, Everborn's idea, rock solid to me. Okay, I think that's a rock solid idea.
I always knew you were a smart guy, Mag.
Dude, it's great, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Now, the thing is, if that's actually the truth, I do not know, but I think it's rock solid. Now, here's the thing. Plan B, I think, has been worked on from before we even heard about this. Okay, it's not like they announced it and then they sat down and went, well, shit. What do we do now? This is a multi-trillion-dollar corporation. They said, okay, here's the situation. This is what's going to happen. And then, and Todd talked to Phil, and it says, listen, we gotta delay this, right? And then they said, okay, well, let's sit down. Let's figure this out. Let's activate Plan B. It's not like Plan B was just made up on the spot on a cocktail napkin in the bar that they were drinking at. You know what I mean? It was already in place. Like, for example, Kevin Feige of Marvel, okay, and Disney fame, of course. He had a Plan B. When Phase 4 stumbled out of the gate because genius there, Alan Horn, went and fired James Gunn for tweets from 15 years ago, and he fired him and he screwed up all of Phase 4 because Phase 4 was supposed to start with Guardians 3. And it was all supposed to go in a cosmic direction, not multiverse direction. And I have more on that in detail. But anyways, as to what happened there. But anyways, the point is that they had a Plan B. And that was immediately put into effect the minute that James Gunn was fired. If you don't think that this is the same thing, it is 100% the same thing. They have to have a Plan B. Like I said, it is a multi-trillion-dollar corporation. It's not held together with popsicle sticks and glue. Okay? These guys know what they're doing. They got a Plan C and a Plan D. Okay? So that's how they operate. Now, that being said, my personal first opinion was, on Crossfire, by the way, that was actually, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun that night. But my God, if you needed popcorn and beer, that was the night to listen to that show. Holy mackerel. Anyways, the first thing I said, because I think it just happened like the day before or whatever, right?
It was that Thursday, and then Crossfire was Friday.
So I barely even had time to digest the information, right? And immediately Mooch comes to me and he's like, come on back. And I'm like, my first instinct was, I hate to say it, but my first instinct is I want to see what comes on June 12th. And that's what Asante was talking about. And I said, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I want to see what happens June 12th. I'm not going to get excited. I'm not going to grab my Series X and throw it out the window, okay? Or anything like that, or be ridiculous, or make a video of me, burning my Xbox shirts. I'm not going to do anything like that, okay? Those shirts were expensive, by the way. Thanks, Xbox. They're really expensive swag. But anyways, the thing is, my first instinct was to wait till June 12th. Now, the thing is, speaking of June 12th, if they do not crush June 12th, then you lose the year to the hardcore. Okay? Now, this is a very important thing and actually kind of controversial for a lot of people, what I'm about to say here. Okay? A lot of controversy tonight, folks. Anyway, the thing is you lose to the hardcore for 2022. Hardcore don't mean squat to Microsoft. It means a little bit. Because we buy games, we buy consoles, we do podcasts here where we talk about the games, we talk about the companies and you know what I mean, and the platforms and whatever else, and we promote it, but we are not the majority of the purchasers of these products.
Yeah, 85%+ is all casual gamers. That's a fact.
So they are still focusing on the casual gamers. So what do you do? Now my interesting thing, speaking of the casual, so the thing is I would love to see the NPDs for May and June and July. Those 3 months is what's going to make the year. If Microsoft is still crushing NPDs over Sony during that time, they literally have nothing. First of all, they have nothing to worry about anyway, but they have literally nothing to worry about in terms of the future of Xbox. Okay? That is what I'm interested to see, because if they keep catering to the hardcore the hardcore is going to have to wait, unfortunately, with those games, because remember, a lot of the games that go into let's say a service like Game Pass, we, the hardcore, have already played. When Guardians of the Galaxy came out in Game Pass, most of us on this panel already played it, but we said, that's nice, for the couple of people who didn't.
Elden Ring is the next big one too. That's going to come in June.
Right. The what? Sorry.
Elden Ring is going to be the next
Elden
one.
Ring. Yeah, right. Yeah. But here's the thing, Boom. What hardcore out there, whether PlayStation, PC, Xbox, whatever, who hasn't played Elden Ring, right? A lot of the casuals haven't played
200 hours in.
Yeah, but the casuals, a lot of casuals who aren't in tune with all of this stuff like we are. They may not have gone into Elden Ring, and maybe that's their first introduction to a Souls-like game, and they're like, you know what, let me give this a try. And then all of a sudden they're like, wow, this is great. But they wouldn't have got the exposure unless they had the Game Pass. My kids don't know what the hell Elden Ring is, right? But if they see it on Game Pass, they might give it a shot, and you never know. Maybe my son will be like a Souls prodigy one day or whatever. Who the hell knows?
I love it. That's great.
Wouldn't that be great? But the thing is that it's still, the point is that they're still catering to the casuals. That's what you have to do. So in that case, you have to make us happy, obviously. But again, in the grand scheme of things, we are the smaller thing. That we are not the focus. And also our age group, another thing, we are not the focus. We are old, crotchety men bitching about consoles and games, okay? They don't care about us. They care about our kids who are 9 to 20 years old or whatever, right?
Hey, Matt, can I say something real quick? What you said, and I'm learning this more and more every day. I turned 40 this past December.
Yep.
Turned 41. When you start to realize that you are aging out of the marketing demographic,
yep,
it is a sobering
isn't
thought.
it? Dude, I'm 47 and I realize I'm no longer the target unless Girls Gone Wild
You
comes
young bastards. I'm going to be 52, so don't talk about old.
I know you're talking about like 10 to 20-year-old kids. I think people that are under 30 are children, so
they are. But the thing is, Microsoft doesn't care, because in 30 years some of us might not be here. You know what I'm saying? But in 30 years a 10-year-old will be, and they will be a consumer who's still dishing out cash. That's what they're looking at. By the way, I'm living to 100.
We are the target audience for AARP. What I'm saying though is you ever wonder why music and movies are getting dumber and dumber to you? It's because
it's catered to a younger crowd.
It's not made for you.
Exactly. It's not made for us. It's made for a younger crowd where a 10-year-old will giggle and laugh and say, that was awesome. And we're sitting there going, that was literally the dumbest thing I've ever seen. When you're getting old is when you're rooting for the killer in a slasher film. Because you love the fact that he's murdering the teenagers. I'm like, good, kill them all. They're pissing me off. And then
if you would have listened to your mother and you would have went to your home on time,
then you wouldn't have a pitchfork stuck through your chest. Right. So anyways, back on topic. Here's the thing. The thing is that that's what they're going to focus on. So I think that what they're going to do, their plan B, is they're going to focus on. Now, guys, we got to remember, there are also a bunch of games that came out already this year that are not in Game Pass but have great rapport with Microsoft. Like, for example, Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Yeah. That could still end up in Game Pass because we all know that Borderlands 2. By the way, that is how I discovered Borderlands. Was through Game Pass, because it kind of like slipped through the fingers in the 360 era, and I said, Borderlands, huh? I'm like, I never actually played this. So I went in there and I got the full 2,000 out of 2,000 achievement points on Borderlands 2 and all the DLC. I absolutely adored it. Guess what? Every other Borderlands that came out after that, I bought it because they made a fan out of me. Anyways, the point is, Tiny Tina could end up in there. That's a big game, co-op game. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, another great game for the kids. That could come out to, maybe in the summer or something like that. Get the kids involved or whatever, right? That's how you get people engaged. Okay, Dying Light 2, 100% is coming in there. They helped produce the damn game. So, it's going to come eventually. It might drop the same day as the June 12th. Who knows? But the point is, they got to do those kind of things. The Gotham Knights, whatever else. We could talk forever about what games they could put in there. The point is, they need to keep focusing on getting big-time games in there, and they got to get the marketing out. As for what they're going to do in the fall, I'm sure we're going to discuss it. But another little quick note before I take it up is that Kena Bridge of Spirits, guys, that might actually be coming out this fall, too, because I believe some people are saying in the chat here, it might be a one-year exclusivity.
It was a 1 year. That was confirmed. It was a 1 year.
Okay, and it came out August 27th or September, or first week of September, something like that. So that could come out as well. That would be a great addition to Game Pass. Now, the last thing I was going to say is, anybody wanted to know, yes, you're right. They did not announce that Sony is got the marketing deal for Call of Duty, which is, of course, now the biggest game of the year, even bigger than God of War. You kidding me? God of War is peanuts compared to Call of Duty. Even Call of Duty Vanguard, which sucked.
Who apparently beat Vanguard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Vanguard was but in 2021, Vanguard was the #1 selling game of the year, and it was the worst Call of Duty I've played since Call of Duty Ghosts, and that's saying something, folks. So, anyways, the thing is that Call of Duty's reveal is happening 4 days before the Xbox event. It was announced just the other day. I just saw it. And it's announced for June 8th is the reveal. That's where you're going to find out who's got that marketing deal. And everybody that week between June 8th and June 12th, it's going to be one hell of an interesting week, because I'd love to see who's got the marketing deal, because they're going to announce that at the reveal.
So about that marketing deal, right? If I'm Sony, and I know this is probably the last year I have it, I don't know if I want it, because I'm doing that marketing and spending that money for an IP everyone is waiting to go on to my competitor, right?
Right.
do that the mind share of Call of Duty going forward is that it's going to be an Xbox game.
Yes.
It's not a bad point.
So is it
But-
worth it for you?
Especially with a
But
bunch
if
of
God
games of their own, right? Like they got their own now gas games in the pipeline. Maybe that isn't worth the. Maybe that isn't the marketing deal. Maybe that's something that that could be on the table with them and Microsoft, and maybe there's already kind of a, hey, yeah, we'll talk about this. Like maybe you'll keep the games on your platform, but we'll still put this on Game Pass quicker. I wouldn't take any, because there's usually like out clauses, like there's penalties for that stuff, but there's always like.
Can I make mention of something that, again, I'm not a lawyer, folks. I'm just spitballing. I'm throwing it out there. Maybe somebody in the panel can school me. Okay, so here's the thing. Marvel doesn't own Spider-Man anymore. They sold it during the days of them potentially going bankrupt. Right. We know that Spider-Man and nearly 900 characters are owned by Sony. That's a fact. Though if Sony were to be purchased by Apple, let's just say, that contract would revert right back to Disney.
Yes,
they would lose the marketing rights for Spider-Man in the films. I'm wondering.
And one thing you asked to be schooled, they own the movie rights, not just
only
the
movie rights.
rights.
That is absolutely
just
correct.
The movie rights,
right. just the film rights. Yeah. And I'm wondering if this, and again, the deal hasn't gone down yet, so I don't know if it's even a factor. But I'm wondering whether or not, if Activision Blizzard gets sold off, do those contracts become null and void? I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting theory, but real quick, folks, we got almost 500 people here, which is bonkers awesome. If you are here and you are enjoying the content, please consider either subscribing. If you're not subscribed, of course, hit the like button. I just got to catch up with some of the super chats. And we have a new channel member. Flush Jackson has become a channel member. Thanks so much for that, Jackson. I definitely super appreciate that. It was very kind of you. Let me get to the private chat. We had Drawn TJ, generous friend of the program. He dropped a $5 super chat. Says, "Hi guys, I'll catch this tomorrow while at work. Keep up the great conversation." Mr. Too Opinionated drops a $2 super chat. Thank you for the generosity there, brother. He says, "Everborn having a great Scott moment." And Carla Moreau drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, "June 12th is literally my birthday. It better be good." Indeed, happy early birthday, brother. But please finish your point, Mag, and I want to move on to the next big topic of the show. Only thing I
was going to say there was say to Everborn though, was about the Call of Duty and OBM, the Call of Duty situation. And I want to turn this into a conversation. I just want to set it out there. Is that if Sony does not get God of War out this year, the biggest player on the block for both teams is Call of Duty. Now, imagine this scenario where you've got Xbox doesn't release Starfield or Redfall. And by the way, I just want to point out, why is everybody heartbroken about Redfall? We didn't see squat about it. Nobody knows if it's going to be any good, and nobody even knows what the hell it is. I mean, we have an idea what it is, but no one's actually
seen it. I can tell you this, Boom, Mag.
I'm not excited for something I haven't seen.
Listen,
other than the CGI trailer, right?
You know what? It's probably the next topic. I'll save it for that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But here's the thing:
it's like the quarterback you draft that you don't know, you haven't seen play. That's what
right.
It is.
It's like it's stupid.
It's like the quarterback on the bench.
And of course, Starfield was working off the pedigree of the past, which it's hard to deny. But anyways, the point is this: imagine this scenario where you've got Xbox not releasing Starfield or Redfall, and you've got PlayStation not releasing God of War. You're gonna have this tug of war match with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 being the biggest game of the fall. That's the real war happening behind the scenes, because that's what's going to be the big player this fall. No pun intended. That is going to be the biggest player, because whoever gets that on their console in terms of the marketing and if Xbox gets it, maybe even more like Game Pass, something like that, you win the fall with just that game. Every other game is moot in comparison, right? So anyways, that was all I was going to say.
No, I mean, listen, everyone has had a great point, but now we got to move on to the one that could potentially upset some people in the chat. This is where we're going to get a little critical. And like I said, I'm very confident that as grown adults with families who enjoy gaming and feel we can be critical, but also have an open mind to a conversation. That's what we're going to have right now, and we got to bring up first party and the cadence that is missing from it. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I'm not making anything up here. This has been said by many people plenty times before, including Phil Spencer himself. And I specifically wrote this topic just based on Phil's tweets. Now, whether or not that was Phil himself or an intern that wrote it for him, that's debatable. Like I said, Phil is as clear as glass. The guy is aces around. He is, makes a lot of money. He holds a very high position, and still he games with us. He is one of us. It's why I really do like Phil Spencer. So I wrote this particular topic based on what Phil said. It's not what I said. So I'm going to read you from directly quoting Phil himself. He says, delivering quality and consistency is expected, and we will continue to work to better meet those expectations. And that goes along with my cadence comments. One of the things that has been missing from Xbox for quite some time is a steady cadence of first-party games. We know that they're coming, folks. This isn't a surprise. And it's not like, hey, boom, what a surprise. Is these games coming? Really? I didn't know that. So let's get the silliness out of the way. The reality is that, when Phil took the big position at the table, sitting on the right side of Satya, he did a lot of amazing things, right? The reason why we have a Series X and S is because of his passion to wanting to get his gamers, his community, his consumers, the best place to play with the most power. We have it. They went out and they got Bethesda, which is was one of the biggest deals in gaming up until the APK thing was announced in January. They're making incredible strides to add incredible IP as exclusives. He released Game Pass in the summer of 2017, and he was told by everyone, including the media, that this was crazy. This was a failure waiting to happen, right? And look at Game Pass now, 30 plus million later, and they are just, everyone is talking about it. It's the best right now, especially in this world that we're currently living in. You can't argue that Game Pass isn't the best value for your buck, especially when you go to fill up your tank of gas and it's $75. You go to a grocery store and 2 bags of groceries are $90, which is ridiculous, right? So if you want to stay in the conversation, Xbox has given you that. So that's, again, not the problem here. The problem, folks, is they currently have, with what they own, not counting ABK, 30 plus teams, making 30 potential different games. And there is going to come a point where these delays, this missing cadence from the conversation is going to become a bigger problem. And when I say that, I'm not saying that they don't have the games coming. They're literally going to have so many games coming out, they're going to have to be forced to delay them because they're going to be eating each other's lunch. And they don't want that to happen. They don't want to release a game on Tuesday, and 3 Tuesdays from now, we have a Titanfall 2 situation where EA allowed this game to get destroyed between Call of Duty and their own Battlefield. We've seen that happen. That's a sad reality, folks. So the cadence that I'm talking about, and this is where we get to the criticism, is it has to be better. And I don't think that as an Xbox consumer, as someone that dedicated half of his freaking channel to the brand, is not allowed or allotted an opinion. And if I do have this opinion, people unsub, people give me the finger. Listen, if you want to play that baby stuff, then unsub. What can I tell you? Give me the finger. It's fine. I've been called a lot worse. Remember, I was a cop, so I've heard it all. But the reality is that I am not going to shy away from giving them the righteous smoke that they think they have earned. And I want to go to Kay Asante first in this, because this is a conversation that we had. And it's because of talking with Kay Asante, I said, you know what? Let's have this adult conversation. Let's talk about a very, very hard subject to get into. please give us your opinion on this. I don't think that there really isn't a wrong or right answer here. It's feelings. But I think that we are allowed as consumers to feel disappointed.
No, absolutely, and I'm mesmerized by your footage here. You're like wreck and shop. My bad. So I'm just like, oh yeah, and then he's killing this dude, and then he's killing that dude. Anyway, no, look. So when all of this happened, like I've kept saying, wait till June, wait till June. That was my answer to everybody who is basically console warring and losing their minds. And we're not gonna get into specifics and get into it, but anyone who's been around this discourse knows what I'm talking about. People were losing their minds when all this news happened. And I'm literally saying, wait till June. Why? Because you don't know how many bullets they have left in the gun, right? Yeah. You don't know how many left in the chamber. You don't know whether they're going to do their job or they're not going to do their job. Now, after June, you'll know that. If they do their job to your liking, then you can breathe easy. If they don't do their job to your liking, then you have every right to come out and say, hey, what the heck is going on? And blah, blah, blah. And we can have that actual conversation, right? And how does that look like? Like you guys have already said, it's all in the eye of the beholder. But for me personally, I want to see them try, right? As we've, I think OBM said that there's no chance that they have a AAA hidden banger in their suitcase that they haven't shared with anyone, that just kind of, oh, well, we don't have Starfield, but damn, here you go. No, that's probably not going to be what you're going to get. But hey, let's see how aggressive they can be. Maybe you'll get some third-party deals. As we've said, third-party deals are few and far between now because a lot of them are dried up, right? So it's going to be a lot of we have to be surprised, right? But I guess my point in all of that is to say, when these situations happen, and they are bound to happen, then these guys get into they are engaged, right? Then they basically earn their paycheck at that point. And let's wait till June and see how they earn their paycheck, right? After June, if you come back and you step away from it and we're seeing the showcase and all the whiz bang, and there's no actual, and this is my barometer for success, right? If in June we see all this additional footage and all this additional gameplay, which we want to see, which we're excited about, but there's actually no calendar release in 2022, that to me will be a fail. I mean, and when I say that, I don't mean, oh my God, the brand is dead, like, close up shop, it's over. Like, as has already been said, the wheels it's already been turned, right? There's just no turning back. At some point, there'll be so many games that they'll have no choice but to release them on top of each other. It's not the point, right? The where I will have criticism for them will be the idea that, hey, you guys saw this happening, right? You must have, because it's your job to pay attention to what's going on, right? This happened. And then what did you do, right? After you saw that this was going to be the problem, how did you try to sell the story to the consumer that, hey, your 2022 is not a loss anymore? And that doesn't automatically have to mean, oh, let's whip out another first-party AAA game out of nowhere, right? It could be a combination of, hey, here's some new features that we're announcing that you guys have always wanted. Here is some new crazy third-party deals that we have struck to get you in Game Pass. Here's a remake that we've been working on in the background that you didn't know. Where's the Fable stuff? Just to show that they are trying to fill in the gap that they know has been left by this news. That to me would be enough to quell the noise.
I agree 100%. Like you're saying, right? Like a Marcus Phoenix collection, a Fable
Marcus
HD collection, things of that nature. Yeah,
exactly. Oh, by the way, remember you guys have always wanted Persona. Well, here you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you guys have always wanted this. Well, and we know that they've been churning at that stuff for a long time now, and many of them may very well be ready to go, and we just don't know that yet, right? So all I want to see, right, is I want to see these emergency thinkers earn their paycheck. It's an emergency, your two big quote unquote bangers are not available for 2022. What are you going to do about it? So this is why I'm like, look, let's wait and see what they have to say. If there's no first party output, honestly, to me, that is worth criticism. Like as you said, Boom, 30 plus teams, 30 of them. You're telling me that you couldn't take the puzzles in place to where somebody would be available when your AAA is not, right? As has been said, these guys are supposed to be working on plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. And if that is not available, it deserves criticism. Does it mean the sky is falling? Not at all. Because that is one thing that Microsoft is so good at, right? Everyone was talking about Crystal Dynamic. Oh, no, nothing to worry about here. Bam, big money. You're fine now, right? No matter what happens, other companies, other platforms, if they make certain mistakes, it could spell the end of them because they don't have that much money, right? They don't have that much resources to do with what we will, right? To me, where I believe they deserve some criticism, and that will really crystallize for me in June. Like, I've had this conversation with Everborn, and I've had this conversation with Boom. To me, even if and Everborn always says that success heals all wounds, right? If you're successful at the game, if the game
winning cures everything.
Winning cures everything, right? Which, in the eye of the consumer, I don't disagree with that, but still. I do still think that it deserves a little bit of criticism to look back at all the wasted marketing dollars that you've spent, all the Doritos boxes that eventually turned to dust because the Master Chief is on it and he didn't show up, the Crackdown boxes, that he was what's his face is plastered all over, pecking the pecs are in full effect and it didn't come out.
Terry Crews.
You know what I'm saying? Like even though at the end of it all they release a product and by and large the product is good, right? We can say that, but if you look and no one has those numbers, probably Microsoft, and they'll never tell you, right? But if you look, I bet there's a AAA budget's worth of wasted marketing dollars. That deserves criticism. Y'all got to do it better and smoother and less wasteful, in my humble opinion. But we'll see if that is really crystallized and deserving of that problem of that criticism in June once they speak. Right? We can criticize that they haven't really spoken yet, but yeah, they spoke right before they knew they had a show coming up. So it's all it's deferred frustration. You'll know whether all your smoke is righteous or not once you hear them speak in June. That's where I'm at with it. So all the people on the internet that are losing their minds and this, I'm not necessarily stop because you're wrong or keep going because you're right. I'm saying you're premature. Calm down. Wait to hear what they have to say. Ultimately, then you'll know whether you're right or you're wrong. Because chances are you may be still sitting pretty in 2022. They may pull rabbits out of their hats. No one knows.
Right.
No one really knows. Now they're not pulling Starfield size rabbits. Get that straight, right? But you never know because this is a situation where, hey, they're not necessarily where they want to be. Maybe this causes them, unless of course Mr. Everborn Saga's crazy theory is correct, in which case I would lose my mind if
You'll never find out if that was the deal.
Well, you will find out if this.
I have metrics.
30 years from now.
You would find out if that was the case, because this June would happen and they would be uncharacteristically conservative.
It's gonna be like a Twitch show.
They'd be uncharacteristically oh well, that was great. Yeah, see you in 2023, and you're just that's it.
And then at the round table of ABK closing, by the way, Starfield.
Yeah, you would know. It's an outlandish theory, but there are certain key points that would clue you in that, hey, they're kind of being soft on purpose. I don't think they are, and that's why I expect to see the kitchen sink type situation thrown at you in June.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, it's great theory for sure. Let's get one bad mother's opinion on this. Listen, you've heard what I had to say. You've heard so far what Asante said. What is your assessment of the cadence regarding first party?
All right. Well, let's start with Bethesda, Softworks specifically, and Todd Howard, because I know there's actually been a lot of, I think, could be fair criticism in terms of the fact that they provided release dates, and that seems like poor planning. But just insider information. This is how Todd Howard's leadership meetings at Bethesda Softworks goes. He puts on his best shirt. He sits in front of a mirror and he says, "You're good enough. You're smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me." And that's it. And whatever he decides is what happens at Bethesda Softworks. I don't think Microsoft has a damn thing to do with what decisions they make there. They promised they would work with some autonomy. And from everything that I've heard from people, indirectly that still work there, Microsoft has not interfered at all. So I think that all that stuff
Except
is
for this
really
one time, and that's why Todd wasn't smiling.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But the other thing I would kind of do, and before I get into anything that's gonna, whatever, like, whatever side you fall on, it's totally fine for people to be upset. Like I said, as somebody who's been watching the Lions forever, I don't need to understand that, hey, this is a whole new GM and everything else. I'm still mad at the Lions, and I see the logo and I think failure and whatever. And I think people are emotional. They're not going to be, they're not going to really step back and think about the situation, most of them. But for those that are listening to this show, I think that most people that come here probably would be a little bit smarter about, things that happen in the industry or learn a lot more. And the thing I would start with is that we know that today, AAA games that if they're bigger in scope than the last thing that was made, if it's not reusing a lot of assets and the same exact engine, you're talking 5 years these days, right? For games to be made. You add in the pandemic, now you're 5 to 6 years. People say they don't want to hear anything else about the pandemic or about, Terry Myerson. But when you do the math and you start to go back to when would you start planning for 2022 under these circumstances, why is Sony able to do this? In order to have success in 2022, you would have had to start to do the planning in 2016, 2017, probably 2017, probably at the latest. And so I've had my shit fit. Like, in 2017, after that E3, when they ended it with the third-party game Anthem, and they're about to launch a brand new console, I basically, if you guys knew me back then, you would have thought I was like some sort of Xbox troll. I was basically doing my best Denny Green impression. I was like, they are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
and they like, this is, it's been every year and we keep waiting every year. And I basically at that point in time said, I had at that point just kind of given up until later on that year, Terry Myerson moved on and they promoted Phil. And I already knew what Satya Nadella was about. Generally, he either said you're all in or we're not staying in it anymore. And I knew that there were some things around the corner.
R.I.P. Windows Phone. I'll never forgive you for that, Satya. Never forgive you.
But that's the way he is. It's like you were either going to go all in, and what have they done? Now they're trying to spend $80 billion in 2 years. So, on gaming and so like, yeah, they can go ahead and vent about it, get frustrated, because I think there's a lot of people that always had hope along those times, that there was always these things maybe they just, didn't know about. They were just like secret games and things. And there wasn't any at that point. The cupboard was bare in 2018. So, when we think about the future, like for 2027 and 2028, the planning starts now, right? That's when you really start to set those roadmaps. So yeah, there was bad planning. There was bad management. It is part of why they are where they're at. But usually when I start to gripe, it's because I want to see behavior changes, and I already seen that. So I just don't know. To me, it just feels like I'm just yelling into the clouds, and it's bygones, right? They've changed the behaviors. Now we just have to wait for the results, and there is going to be that lag. So that's just kind of like the way I approach it. So people can be upset about it. Do they have to plan better? Yeah, they will. They've already said Satya Nadella said they want to have a game a quarter, and that's why they keep buying up game companies. And I'm expecting that they're gonna, that's how they're going to plan moving forward. They are investing not for the old model where you load up a bunch of AAA games for the holidays. You need to sustain momentum if you want to grow a subscription. I mean, you see it with Disney now, how they're growing really fast. When you saw Netflix, have their boom, No pun intended. But when you see these subscriptions gaining momentum, you need to sustain it, or people will leave. And we've even seen that a little bit with some of the competition with Netflix. There's never the one nice thing that's going to happen with the future of the industry if others get involved, and I think they will at some point. Get more aggressive in the subscription wars, is that you need to sustain mindshare. You can't just say we sold them a console, they're our customer now. We can move on to the next thing, like they did with the 360. They went all in those first 4 years, 3-4 years, and then it was like they had the customers. They just at that point in time, they just kind of played off the momentum and they stopped that sort of investment. You can't do that anymore. They know that. So Boom, I know you kind of brought that up. Yeah.
The point that you're making, this is why it's always fun to me to say, they don't care about making quality games. They just care about your subscription. Why would you keep your subscription active if they didn't make quality games to put
exactly no.
And not just that and it's not like I hear a lot of this stuff, well, they can't afford it, they're going to make a bunch of B tier. You do need to have some sort of quantity and diversity and fill different niches, and that's where those AA's will come in, and I'm looking forward to those, to be honest. But what's really going to sell the masses is going to be a Call of Duty. It is going to be a Starfield, becoming as big as a Fallout or a Elder Scrolls is.
Yeah, I think the AAA's bring them in, but it's the AA's in the backlog that keeps them in.
Yeah, you need to have that zeitgeist, right? Like Disney is. What's driving their subscriptions is Marvel and Star Wars, right? You need the big IPs, you need the production values in those. You need people to go, wow. You need people to talk about it longer than 2 weeks after a game releases. That's how, if you look at any of these, the subscriptions that have had success when they've grown, it's with those gigantic IPs, and one giant IP that has that sort of water cooler zeitgeist mind share is worth more than 10 nice games. As much as like Psychonauts was one of my favorite games last year, 10 of those is not going to stack up to a Starfield. It just isn't. And I mean, and again, I Tim Schafer is one of my favorites. I'm just saying from the business standpoint for anybody. And so that's one of the reasons why I think with these AAA's, the big ones, the important ones that are supposed to be their milestones for, driving the big engagement, they need to not come out with those games until they're absolutely as great as they're going to be. If you have to delay it a year, you delay it a year. If you have to delay it, a year and a half, 2 years, you do it. I think because those are the monumental things that will make up a whole year, right? Those will determine that stuff. And so at the end of the day, do they need to do better? Yeah, absolutely. They have, but they've already done better with the behaviors. They obviously still need to have better results, but I think that, they have been having better results. And that's the other part of it too. I think as gamers, we kind of also get stuck in the, a lot of the narratives that we're used to, and it's always like, well, what am I going to play this fall if I don't have any? These days, I don't need you to rush out, okay games.
No one's suggesting to rush a game. Again, the question at hand is the cadence.
Yeah,
absolutely. The cadence, unfortunately, has been, and again, no one's sitting here and saying, "Hey, Boom, what about COVID?" I understand COVID. Okay, I completely understand that you could evaporate an entire year and it's still a problem. That's not the problem, but the cadence in which they do release games is worthy of a conversation, like Kay Asante said. So, one bad mother. Finish up your point. Let me go over to Everborn. So, I'll go to Mag first because Mag has got to get out of here exactly at 9.
Oh, well, you know what? Let's get over to Mag then, and then I'll, if I.
Okay, yeah, we'll bring you back in on it, Mag. Listen, you like me have an understanding that this isn't a question of COVID. This isn't a question of if they can. We know that they can. They are going to deliver. I'm interested to hear your personal opinion on the cadence factor, though.
To me, this entire situation is, like you said, we know they can do it. We know they're going to do it. My thing, and this is the thing that's something that's always eaten away at me, and it's something that we've been talking about for years now. It's been almost 2 years I've been on the show. We've always said that the number one thing is the mind share. And the mind share, not only about the games, about quality and that kind of stuff. Now, if you've listened to anybody who's intelligent out there that has been putting on shows like Jez and, well, maybe not Rand so much, but definitely Jez. I hope you heard that, Rand. Yeah, he slandered me the other day on his show, so I had to get him back. Anyways, in all seriousness, he said the mind share now is that they don't have what it takes to complete games on time. And this is a new mind share that you do not want. Right. So that's the problem, is that you have to be able to change these mindsets that the public has. Right. Sorry, were you going to say something, Edward?
No, who has a track record of releasing games on time?
Yeah, I know. I know.
This is all about Microsoft. It's not about whataboutism. I'm just saying. Yeah. Like, we got GT7 and Horizon this
year. Which were 2021
Those
games,
were 2021 titles.
Right.
Everything's delayed. We were supposed to get Hogwarts a while before we got it, right?
Breath of the Wild.
Delayed. That's just where we are right now. It's only glaring for Microsoft because they don't have anything else announced.
There's that.
That's the thing.
There's that. But there's also the fact that there seems to be, for whatever reason, maybe it's because they're the biggest dog on the block, is that they seem to face more scrutiny than anybody else.
Well, it's because of the droughts they had. I mean, I think that, it is kind of fair. You get the less benefit of the doubt, right? You start to build up equity.
You're right. I think it's multitude of reasons, but I think another reason is, and you're 100% right there, because yes, there have been several droughts over the course of. Wow. If you realize it, can you believe it that 2013 is almost 10 years ago now? So so if you think about it, 10 years ago, now you know you're old when you're like 10 years. I thought it was last week. Anyways, the point is that we've had a lot of droughts in the last 10 years, right? And I get that. The other thing is that yes, when you are the bigger dog, the $2 trillion company, you're looked at as the big evil corporation for whatever reason, even though they all are. Sony's no different. Nintendo's no different. They just don't have as much money. But, when Tom Brady misses one pass, but he throws 36 perfect passes and he misses one, you always get that jerk at the bar. He fucked. No, he doesn't. He threw 36 perfect passes, you jerk. But the thing is, the scrutiny's there because he's that much bigger and better or whatever, right? Anyway, the point is that what I think they need to do moving forward, at least for this year, right? I don't want to get all convoluted in what I'm trying to say here, but it has to be said that I think that what they need to do is that they need to take after who? In not their eyes, but in our eyes, their competitor. There's one thing that Sony has done better than anybody, but besides releasing fantastic first-party games, is that the Sony playbook in terms of how they market their product. They always make it seem, whether it's from them or whether it's from third party or whatever, they always make it seem that they're never leaving their PlayStation fans in a drought. They always make it seem that they always got a game, at least at some point somewhere, right? And how do they do that? They do that by doing these third-party deals, right? Well, you can call it whatever you want. Pizzazz, bamboozle, smoke and mirrors. Craftiness is what I call it. Yeah. Is because now the thing is, at the end of the day, when you're working with nothing and you're turning it into something, you remember, I always go back to the PS4. The first 4 years of the PS4, you want to talk about a drought? It was trash. It was only starting getting good when Uncharted 4 came out. But what did they do? They started riding on their strengths. They started getting those marketing deals. They started doing all that. And what did they do? They give you the illusion that it's only available on PlayStation. And once again, the hardcore know. But the problem is, not the problem, but the general public doesn't know that. And that's what they need to play on the strengths. And what I said in the first hour of the show, they need to play on the strengths of the casual market. Like, for example, I walked through the mall 4 years ago, and remember malls, guys? Remember we used to go to those places?
That was a thing at some point.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Now they're only for zombies and post-apocalyptic things. But anyways, I used to walk through the mall, and there's the GameStop, and it had a sign for Red Dead Redemption 2, all in blue, by the way, and with the PlayStation, and it said exclusive with PlayStation all over it, right? any Johnny Six-Pack walking by would think that Red Dead Redemption 2 was only on PlayStation. And it wasn't, right? But the thing is,
Destiny was thought to be an PlayStation exclusive.
Right. But you know what it said when it said exclusive on the sign? If you went over there with a microscope and you looked at the actual sign and read the fine print, it said exclusive hat and slacks.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what it says. But the thing is, it's how they did it. And they did it in such a brilliant and genius way that you would actually think that they were all there. That's what Xbox needs to do. And I know that Phil doesn't like to do time exclusives. Fine, don't do timed exclusives, but make these games seem like they're owned by Xbox.
Yep.
So can I push back a little bit before you leave, Mag?
Yeah. Go ahead, dude.
Because I think you almost push back yourself a little bit.
It's kind of contradictory. I'm kind of Go on.
But I'll take one side of I'll take one side of it. Because the reason I wanted to answer this is actually even in some discords and things I'm at with Xbox fans, they've been chirping about the money hats. It's like why is Phil Spencer playing nice? And I think besides Everborn's theory, the other reason is I feel like that sort of game is almost like that sort of strategy is almost jumped the shark. It's almost like outdated in a way, like the kind of where we're moving. And wouldn't you say like these days, especially, I always like point to the example of like a Fortnite that was like a nobody. It was a failed AA game that came out, and all of a sudden it was like the biggest thing. It took over gaming to the point now where Epic is like a superpower in the gaming industry. Like I just feel like gamers in general have the memories of and the attention spans of hamsters. It's like and really if nobody's, first of all, the console's not the only thing that Microsoft's focus on anymore. It's just one leg of their stool. So like when we talk about just console exclusives, that's just, it does matter to a base. It's not.
No, what I'm saying is ecosystem.
Ecosystem. Yeah, I get it.
You notice how they say Game Pass now? It's not called Xbox Game Pass.
No, I get
it's called Game Pass, right? So I mean, if you have to, I'm saying market it towards your ecosystem.
Right.
Right. I'm saying like it's not only available. Like for example, when something's only available on Sony, it's literally only available on the PlayStation 5.
Right.
Or 4, whatever, right? So
no, and I'm not like, I agree with that. They're going to have exclusives associated with Game Pass and stuff. But I guess the thing is if you're going to be so limited because of chip shortages this year, I think almost everything's going to sell out regardless. And how fast things turn on a dime. I guess I don't see this urgency to kind of divert and start diluting their plan and go, well, we need some money hats. We need to, more aggressively, go after some third party thing.
Maybe not long term.
For a broad stroke, no. But
right
for this
now,
year, I'm sorry, man. They need to do something, dude.
I'm sure they're doing. Yeah, that's what. Boom, I'm agreeing with you there. I think the same thing, brother. I think what's happening is that it's not the long term. They're never going to change the long term plan. That'd be silly.
The long term plan is great. It's going to be 4, 5, 6 games per year. That's not the issue at hand here. It's a cadence that's missing from Microsoft first party, and even Phil Spencer himself. We know he didn't say the word cadence. He specifically said that they need. Let me read it again. Delivering quality and consistency is expected. That is what we expect as consumers and Xbox fans.
Agree.
We will continue.
I expect the same in 2023 after Activision.
2022 only needs a Band-Aid.
I agree, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like it just
100%.
needs a Band-Aid to get by. Keep those casuals. That's why I was saying earlier, by the way, I'm so interested to find out what the MPDs for May, June, and July are going to be. Because then you will actually get a proper litmus test as to whether this announcement actually had any weight to it. That is the key to it. Because if all of a sudden you see like a massive drop in sales, Game Pass subscribers are unsubscribing, this and that and the other thing, then you know it had an impact. But if it did not, if those numbers stay relatively close or even better, like, can you imagine? But the thing is,
there's a good shot that they might actually stay the same. And here's something else.
And therefore, it made no difference. You got to stay the course then.
Well, what's interesting is Xbox has not forecasted issues with releasing consoles as it was done by both Nintendo and Sony. They have figured out a way to manufacture both consoles right now you can find them. Okay, maybe they're not on the 7-Eleven store shelves, but you can find them in Targets and Walmarts and Best Buys and Amazons and different places like that where you still can't find a PlayStation 5. So again, no one is suggesting gloom and doom here, but there needs to be better cadence with their first parties. I will continue to bang that drum.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yep.
Anything you want to add else, Mag, to the conversation?
No, that is actually it. And actually, you know what? On this note, I'm actually going to bow out because it's about 10 minutes before I have to go. So, actually, no, I'm going to listen to Everborn for a little bit, and then I'm gonna quietly back out. But before I do, I just wanted to say thank you guys to everything that's everybody in the show tonight. OBM for coming by. Chat, you guys are amazing. And guess what? This Wednesday night thing, we got a whole lot of people in here I haven't seen before. And it's great to like actually talk to new people and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, the other people, obviously, our followers are fantastic. But it's always cool to say, hey, man, how did you guys find us and this and that? And they're like, oh, well, because we just kind of waltzed in. It's great. And the numbers have been fantastic. So
yeah, we hit almost 500 today, which is pretty awesome.
Yep.
I'm always thrilled to be, you know, and extremely surprised that we continue to grow the brand. But that's thanks to everybody that's on this panel. You guys bring it, and people like to hear it, and I like to hear it, and everyone brought their A game for sure today. Mag, great writing on, of course.
Oh, no worries.
ManScaped.
There'll be more coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Lots more coming.
I
But
can't
anyways,
wait.
off to Everborn.
Everborn. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
But yeah, I say if you want to get to 600, Boom, you got to let them know. Everborn's about to tell us where Hoppa's body's buried. So.
Well, I have to do that in the beginning, then we get people to hang. But Everborn, let's get your opinion on this. Obviously, you have your own business. Obviously, the Everborn saga is something. Well, but I'm saying that for the marketing aspect, the Everborn saga, people expect a consistency with the books. You have a certain group that reads the books and they want to follow the story along, and they don't want to wait 4 years for the next book. They want the book as if they got parts 1 through 4. They're expecting 5 to have the same development time. Now, granted, this is not throwing Microsoft under the bus by any stretch of the truth, but we still have to talk about the cadence aspect of first party. Do you believe that needs an adjustment of sorts?
Yeah, I do, but I think the changes have been made for this, and I mean, because remember, Boom, I talked about this, right?
Yeah,
I had no idea this delay was coming. However, I said to the panel months ago, even in 2021, I said, is it not strange that we understand like Redfall and Starfield, but what does XGS actually have this year? Right? This is when we were all sure, myself included, that Starfield was coming out. It still was always strange to me that they just had nothing announced and they wouldn't even talk about Motorsport, right? So, and my thing is, and I will see if Motorsport comes out this year, because if you go to the Microsoft Careers website right now, you can go there. Anybody can go there. There's a lot of roles open for Turn 10 Studios, and one would think you would have staffed up this much already if the game was done and ready to come out, right? And I'm just the roles that they have available right now are curious to me, as though they're staffing up to maybe finish production at a later date. Again, this is me, conspiracy theory. I like to read the tea leaves and then do something else with those leaves. But again, I think it is an issue this year, and I've always felt like Starfield and Redfall were what we're going to save them this year. But I always felt like the floodgates of 2023, because none of us expected Hellblade or Avowed or Fable or Perfect Dark or Everwild. None of us expected that this year, right? We all thought this all starts with Starfield, and then joint after joint, the projects are just going to finish when they finish. But there's so many in production at once. Simple math will tell you these games will come out, right? Unless something crazy happens and they start canceling. right? But they have enough irons in the fire that things are just going to start popping out. And it's almost like it doesn't even matter how good they are at scheduling these things. The games are just by the nature of development are just going to finish and be out, right? So I think my deadline for them before I raise any eyebrows about Cadence, it was always 2023, right? It was supposed to start this year, but I'm just pushing back that by 6 months. But 2023, I think you will be the first year you get your 4 AAAs or more in 1 year.
So what you're saying is you're tired of waiting, but also 2025 is going to be amazing.
Absolutely. Next
Good
E3,
to know.
right? But seriously, right? And I forget about my conspiracy theory from earlier. Even if this delay has nothing,
It's already
to do with
forgotten.
that,
Don't worry about it.
right?
Come on, give it a chance.
Even if this delay had nothing to do with it, I do think next year, even if it's just by luck, right, or having a rich daddy, right, the deal is going to close. That's going to earn them a tremendous amount of goodwill. That deal closes, and you have Diablo and Overwatch day one Game Pass, and on top of Starfield coming out, on top of Avowed potentially coming out.
Everborn, you know why people are still upset, though. It's that idea that for some reason, this company that just they can't seem to do anything but snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
But all I'm saying is, mark my words, people are going to wake up and see them for the evil geniuses that they are next year. And if you said it this year, you were saying that solely based on Starfield. You weren't saying it based on anything else. Next year, you would be saying it based on 4 to 5 titles. Right? So I think it sucks, right? I think we can have two thoughts in our head. On the one hand, we could say 2022 for Xbox first party is doo-doo butter, right? It's just absolute trash. But on the same token, look, the dream is just deferred 6 months. Although I don't think Starfield is coming out until November of next year.
No,
11/11/23 is what that's going to be.
How about 3/23/23? Because actually, Steel Rain actually said that, and I like that number.
I like May. I think May's probably. Last time they delayed something, I think it was 6. Well, like I said, Oblivion was 6 months. That makes sense. May is probably a good window.
And it'll give them a summer game that they haven't had in a while, and people will be like,
rough,
"Oh,
though.
They solved that problem too," right? And so I just think, and again, I keep saying this: winning cures everything. Next year, when they release, even though 2 or 3 of them were delays that were supposed to come out in 2022, everybody's gonna say they got their act together. And then by the time 2024 gets here, that's when Hellblade and these other things will be finishing, right? Maybe Indiana Jones and things like that. So it's just they put all these things in the fire so that they can continue to come out. Because like you said earlier, OBM, for you to have a monster year, it's something you put into motion 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, but you know where for me, I think, and for a lot of people, the disappointment comes the way of last year was just so epic for them. Right, they had such.
But when did last year start? That started in June.
Yeah, and last year was actually 2020. Last year was actually 2020 delayed as well. That's something people forget.
It was a combination of games in a whether it was a 1 year or a 6 month period where you had a lot of different genres, a lot of highly reviewed games, a lot of great buzz for Xbox, and. That's not here this year so far.
It's not here yet, right?
Yeah, it's not here yet. No. Granted, again, this is not a pity party. This is not Xbox is dead. This is a conversation that we're having regarding first party, and even Phil himself says it needs to be better in consistency, and they're going to do it. But listen, folks,
can I just give me 2 minutes here, right?
Okay.
I think, right. They had the momentum because they were announcing like we took back market share, we're the number one console. So they had the momentum before this announcement, right? It's just a month that seems stalled, right? But the way I'm telling you, the way you fix this, right, is you solve some other problems that people had. Again, imagine if this show tells you, guess what? You're actually getting Street Fighter 6 on your console. You didn't think you were going to get that. Guess what?
Banjo's on the way.
Right. There you go.
Deflection.
No.
That's the name of the game. Deflection.
Right. So, but think about this. Solve another issue in the portfolio. You're getting Street Fighter 6, right? You announced that Killer Instinct is actually in development, right? Then you say again, Persona is coming here as well as Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you got all in Game Pass. And again, I say I'm not joking here, but you also say you are the one who premieres Sonic Frontiers, and it actually looks like a AAA game this time, right? You do all of that, and then people start to think, damn, they solved the Final Fantasy issue. Damn, they solved the Street Fighter issue. Oh, Killer Instinct is coming back. I know I'm not getting it for another few years, but I know it's coming back. And so when they've solved those problems, then this is an easier pill to swallow. And they can do that without even having their first party ready. Those are games that have eluded the platform for many years. And I think that is something that will get your fans back on your side.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Persona, Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, and premiere Sonic Frontiers if it's good.
Yeah, no, listen, I listen. I mean, everyone had amazing points. I first of all, let me just catch up on some of the super chats. A good friend of the program, Bunty, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Great discussion panel. I'm at work enjoying the whole thing. Thank you for the entertainment. Great show. Keep up the good work." Well, thank you, brother. I'm glad that we are keeping you, making work fun, so to speak. We have Spartan Ghost drops a £2 super chat and says, "Phil just needs to call Birdman and Suge Knight for management." He drops 2 super chats of £2 each. And we also have R. Rorge is a member who's been a member, of the channel for over a year. Thanks so much for that. He says, "I think this is a media thing. Both PlayStation and Xbox top 10 is mainly cross-plat. Because most people are fairly indifferent to this." Yeah, the first parties aren't number one sellers. The Call of Duties, the GTAs, things of that nature. Those are the big
getting
time
ready
sellers.
to own Call of Duty.
Well, that's right.
And that's the thing. No one can say that Activision can't ship, right?
Right.
And we know, but this is the reason they bought publishers, because even if that's a deficiency, they've solved that with their money. And those independent publishers are going to ship games for them, and they'll give Xbox Game Studios all the time they need because they have that cushion from Bethesda and soon to be Activision. So I don't think this will be a problem going forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Real quick, Fun Speculation drops an outstanding super sticker of $5. Thanks, Matt, for being here, brother. And Chris McComb drops a £5 super chat and says, "Little support from UK. Just wanted to ask, do you guys feel Sony get a pass on some of their first party games because of hype, like GT7? To me, underdone." Yeah, Gran Turismo was definitely underdone. Horizon is a perfect example. Game looks great. Story is very strong, but the bugs ruined it for me, and I haven't been back. So those were half-baked would be a little, for me, a little bit much. I think they needed more time for sure. But listen, folks, that's going to do it for Primetime Gaming on Wednesdays, our new day for this program. We had we just missed 500 by a hair. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you so much for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. Listen, if you enjoyed the show, hit the like button. If you didn't, it's okay. Hit the thumbs down button. That is perfectly fine as well. If you are finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. Mrs. BoomStick and I were very fortunate to hit 10K this year, and our goal for the remainder of the year is to finish out strong at 12. That would be something huge. But listen, let's get to the outros. Obviously, Mag had to bounce because he has a new position at his job, and at 9 o'clock he's got to bounce. So Let's go to One Bad Mother. Sell your brand, brother. Tell them about Xbox Era. Tell them where they can check out your work. What else you got going on?
Yeah, well, first of all, Boom, thanks again. I thought these were, awesome conversations on everything.
Yeah.
And looking forward to, come back and talking about E3 with you guys. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, if you guys want to find me, I am at a senior editor at Xbox Era. I've been working on a project behind the scenes, which is probably going to be, take a little bit more time, but should be starting to put out some articles and content again in the next couple months, but after that is finished. But otherwise, if they want to find me, I'm also, if you are a Halo fan, and why shouldn't you be? I do also have a Halo podcast called You Had Me at Halo. It comes out, usually it's bi-weekly. We've been going weekly while the TV show is going. So we will actually do a spoiler cast on Friday for the season finale. And that will be very interesting to see kind of how everything culminates. So come over there and
change the showrunner for season 2.
I heard they changed the writers, which I am actually very happy about. But
you'll see a much better hashed out Halo I mean, again, I enjoyed it. I'm not hating on the show, but they need a new writer, someone that appreciates the material.
Yep. So it's like it's got its ups and downs, right? But yeah, if you want to come there, or if you like Halo, or even if you just like the show, come and check us out for this Friday around 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. Other than that, I'm sure pop in here again sometime soon.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You're always welcome, brother. You got the key to the kingdom. So anytime you want to join, you just let us know and you're in. Que Asante. Sell your Saturday show. Sell your brand, brother. Tell them about the Gaming Circle podcast, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You had a great show this past week, and I would imagine that is going to continue this Saturday. Tell them about that, and where can people subscribe? Let's try and get you past 1K in 2022.
Yeah. Thank you, Boom. I appreciate it. Of course, as usual, OBM's in the spot. We don't even have to thank him for being a guest because he's not a guest. He'll be around again. We appreciate always talking to him. It's great. So and by and large, the chat was pretty approachable and pretty nice. A few weirdos here and there, but it was a good show today. So it was good. Huh? What'd you say, everyone?
No, I said a few knuckleheads, but we got to get OBM on Saturday one of these days when he's free.
Yeah. We got to get him back on the show. It's been a minute, it's been a while. We need to maybe after the Halo show, after the season finale, we can, because we've been doing a bit of chatting about that show ourselves on the Gaming Circle podcast. So maybe we'll have you out there. Usually when Halo talk happens, we have to have OBM in the spot. So that's definitely probably something.
They usually put up the Halo bat signal, right?
That's right. And all of a sudden he's like, and he shows up. It's good. But no, Gaming Circle podcast Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Usually, last week we had Eric Jackson from formerly from the Basement Arcade podcast on there as well. He still does Gaming Perspectives podcast, which he's really good at. If Eric Jackson, he's been out. Big community member, been around for a long time, doing great work, and we were blessed to have him join us. Had a great conversation. Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Gaming Circle podcast with myself and Mr. Everborn Saga. You can find me, TKO Asante, Xbox, PlayStation, Twitter. You follow me, I follow you back. We have a lot of great conversations online. So thank you guys so much for the continued support, and you'll see us again next Wednesday. If not, I appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. And Everborn, sell your brand, dude. Tell everyone about the Everborn saga and where can people check that out. Go to Amazon.com to get the book for free shipping, of course, around the world. And what else you got going on?
Well, go to Amazon.com if you are not in the States. It's roughly the same price because we do a discount, but we do charge for shipping. But it does come signed if you order it from everbornsaga.com. But if you're out of state, that's why we put it on Amazon, and it works with your Prime subscription. Also, at some point, I promise I'm going to bring back On the Reel. But for now,
sure,
it's GCP and PTG, and I am Everborn Saga on any social media network that you can think of, and also any gaming platform you can think of. But don't look for me on the Steam Deck because I still haven't got my shipping confirmation yet. But that's neither here nor there.
He does not sound jelly at all. Not
Does
at all.
Microsoft have to buy Valve for me to get a Steam? That's the new poll. What happens first?
Interesting. Well, that is definitely a topic for another show. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Big shout out to all of the super chats that came in. Definitely super appreciate that. And of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. That's something that my dad taught me with kids. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules. And I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends.